Robots Radio. Games, lore, stories, community. Just press play. Welcome to the Fallout Lorecast, the podcast that explores the boundaries of our knowledge about the world of Fallout. Wastelanders, Vault Dwellers, welcome back to the Fallout Lorecast. It is the end of the month, which means it's time to bring our patrons on to talk about some other cool stuff in the world of Fallout. This week, we're discussing the Fallout TV show and the villain or main villain or villains we think we might have as a focus of the show. There has been a lot of leaks from the sets and locations and some of the gear and those kinds of things out on the internet lately. So the internet's abuzz about the new Fallout TV show. It's obviously in production right now, and we've got some speculation to do. We know that there's going to be vault stuff. We know that there's going to be power armor. We know that there's going to be some locations that are familiar, but what we don't know yet is who the villain will be. Who do we think the first villain will be? And to join me this week to talk about this, we have some of our patrons. Germinator's back. Germinator, welcome. How you doing, buddy? Looks like you're not in your truck, which is nice.
Yeah, for the first time, I think.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Well, welcome. Glad you're not on the road. Yeah. So Germinator's back. We got Lil Green joining us again. Lil, welcome.
Howdy.
Howdy. And Nova's here as well. Nova, welcome.
Hey, how you guys doing? Good to be back.
Awesome. And Maverick's here. Maverick, what's up, buddy?
Yes, the man, the myth, the legend, in his semi once again. Yes, I am here.
Yep, in your home on the road. Guys, we have some stuff to discuss about the Fallout TV show. First, to bring everybody up to speed with at least the things that I've seen out there, we have a number of pictures that have been circulating, and some just dropping even today as we all got together and did the little pre-show chat. We found, there's another picture that dropped. So first of all, about a week or two ago, we had images of the Super Duper Mart on Staten Island. There's a location. It's like a empty old strip mall store that they've been renovating, and we've been seeing them add more detail to this as time goes by. They've got the sign on top. They've got aging, and the walls all look old. The doors all look old. And then they added these rundown looking vehicles out front and a lot of dirt or sand underneath the vehicles. And this set has been evolving over the last few weeks. We've also gotten a glimpse at the inside of a vault. There's an image out there through like a constructed doorway, like it's a set, right? But inside you can see the very clearly rounded windows of like the inside of a vault. And then we've also gotten some imagery of people in vault suits and some power armor and some more details on power armor just today. So there's a lot of stuff that is out there that we can discuss about this. And on top of that, we know that there are 2 or 3 scenes on Staten Island, 2 or 3 sets on Staten Island, but the rest of the show is being filmed in New Mexico, which could or could not lead to desert locations, places that look more like the West Coast. So that opens up a whole lot of possibility as to who we're going to be talking about with potential villains. But I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Who would like to go start us off? Who thinks they have a good idea of who the initial villain will be? There have been a number of villains in the series. What do you guys think? Anybody want to kick us off here? Anybody have thoughts on are we going to go all the way back to Fallout 1? Are we going to get the Master? Are we going to get Lil had something to say, and then all of a sudden.
All right, now when you say initial villain, you talking like faction or like individual person?
It could be either. And Nova's got his hand up. Nova, you can hand up on the Zoom. You can go ahead and put that down because it moves all the people on the screen around. So that does make it a little weird. Thanks. You can unmute and I'll know that you want to chime in. But Lil, you can go after Lil. So yeah, it could be an individual. It could be a group.
As a group, I honestly think they might just go with the Enclave because we don't know the time of when this is going to take place, and if they're just going to generalize, because just knowing how TV shows and movies are handled, they're just going to generalize things a lot. So I feel like the Enclave being one of the biggest factions through like most of the games, they're going to be the ones that we see coming up against us, or coming up against like, whomever.
Sure.
Honestly, so and there's no other. So I mean, even if it's out west, they were out there at one point, so I could see them being the main antagonist of this series.
Right. Well, with the Enclave, we've got the oil rig, we've got John Henry Eden.
Yep.
Are we going to see I mean, who knows? Like they could roll this stuff out in steps, right? Like the Enclave, when you first play Fallout 3, you learn about the Enclave from the little iBots flying around with the propaganda. And you're like, oh, they're this mysterious group. And then all of a sudden you come across some of their soldiers and like the story starts to play out a little bit more and you get more and more of a sense of like who they are and what's going on behind the scenes. With something like the Enclave as a villain, we could not know who's pulling the strings, like who's in charge for a very long time, because there's a lot of layers to that. Mm-hmm. Do you think that maybe we'd get like a whole first season where it's like we don't even see the main villain until maybe the end of the season, or not even at all?
I think it might be one of those not even at all things. It's just they might just build up a lot of mystery and tension, but like you get like, I mean, as long as like you're a player of the games and know like the lore, you might be able to connect the dots relatively or roughly. But I feel like they're going to treat this like any other thing and just make it approachable to people that don't know Fallout as well. So they're going to draw it out and try and make sure they can get the content they want. But I could see us maybe getting a minor villain character of sorts, definitely, that is attached to, like, say it is the Enclave, just like, just someone like below, like, so that we have like a stepping point into like who the real person is.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. You could have like this person seems to be in charge, but then they report to somebody bigger. Like a Darth Vader, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's an emperor out there. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Jackson in chat says President Dick Richardson. He was a key figure. You could even have scenes where we don't know who the person is, but they're like lit from behind, like silhouette, and you're like, is this a person? Is it a robot? Like we can't really tell, That's an interesting idea. What do you guys think about the Enclave? Leo?
I'm thinking we might see some Enclave, but I have a feeling that it's going to start right from the beginning, typical TV show style, showing the beginnings of the Brotherhood, which would make sense with the power armor and everything. Because I zoomed in on that photo with the magnifier on my computer, and it's that weird chevron type symbol on there. It's not the Brotherhood symbol.
Oh, interesting.
That little orange with the pre-war one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're going to start from the start, introduce the Brotherhood, etc., introduce the Enclave, and then work their way up from there. Because this has potential to be multi-seasonal.
Oh, absolutely. And I talked about it on the show before, how it would be really cool to get the events of Mariposa. Jax in chat also put that. And then expand out from there, have the origins of the Brotherhood and then move on. But if we're going back to Fallout 1, that means the Master. That means more intelligent super mutants. That means like a mutant threat. It means some of the vaults out there potentially. You've got, Vault 11, Vault 13. A lot of those things happen out that way. Nova, I know you wanted to chime in. Did you have anything on this topic that you wanted to share, or did you have a completely different idea?
Well, this was my topic. That's kind of the idea I was going to cover was that like I was kind of thinking they would be, the Enclave would be the big overall baddie, like big bad villain, but then there'd be like I don't know, like hired guns almost, where like it's like a mercenary group, or maybe even like Voltec remnants or something like that you think are the bad guys, but they're all funded or organized by the Enclave. That's kind of what my idea was going to be. It was the Overseer, or probably Overseer, or like whoever is like someone within the Vault. I'm assuming this is going to start to the Vault, just like every single other Fallout game has. And so it's the big bad is at first is the Vault Overseer. Then you escape something like just like Fallout 3. I don't know. This is kind of like this is my train of thought, but then you find out later that your overseer is reporting to the Enclave. That's like the end of the season cliffhanger or something like that.
Yeah, so like the idea of like, oh, we're on the side of the vault dweller, and we think that the person running the vault is a good person, but it turns out that they're, of course, it's revealed at some point that they've been doing experiments with everybody, and so they're not as good as you think, like that kind of thing. So we're gonna have like a series of mini bosses, like the Overseer, and then there's some raiders out there, then maybe some super mutants, but really behind everything, pulling the strings, is somebody in the Enclave.
Kind of something like that. I don't know. I put about 5 minutes of thought into this because it's been a very, very busy day. And so, and so this is just kind of my train of thought was that, since the Enclave had access to the vaults, and the vaults were specifically designed to be for the Enclave, then the Overseer knows about the Enclave, and they're taking orders from the Enclave to do all these things. And that's why your character escapes onto the wastelands, because they're being hunted by the Overseer and her goons, and then the Enclaves, and then you start a revolution or something stupid like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I would have to wonder how the communication works, because oftentimes the vault people the people running the vaults didn't know they were necessarily reporting to the Enclave. The Enclave was kind of a shadow force behind things. It was part of the U.S. government, right? But if this takes place, say 100 years after the bombs drop, then communication has kind of ceased, and so many of the vaults that have stayed locked down don't have connection to the outside world unless they're doing it secretly, right? So that creates a lot of questions about like, how does that play out? Is there communication between an Overseer and somebody in the Enclave? Are they competing interests? Are they, there could be a lot of that. They both might not be good guys, but they may or may not be on the same side, or they may be temporarily on the same side, right? But they're just looking to one up each other.
Yeah, but you have to remember, though, that every single vault was not supposed to open until they got the all clear signal. So that would imply they had some form of redundancy communication device.
Well, that's yes, but many of the vaults never get that signal. It's like everything breaks down. So either communication can't happen, or nobody's in charge to send the communication anymore. I mean, everything just kind of falls apart, and that's kind of the bulk of the premise. Guys, anyone else have any thoughts on the Enclave? Think about this at all? Maverick, what do you think? Enclave?
So what I think. Hold on, sorry. Let me get away from my unit.
He's on the job right now, so reporting in the field.
Yeah. What I've Enclave, because I have Enclave love and everything. We actually talked about this briefly in my own podcast about how the Enclave could be the big bad guy, and which actor could. We all thought Kyle MacLachlan could be the guy that pulls the strings, like his character would. We all thought his character would be a great bad guy. Like whatever. So what I was thinking is, what we were thinking was he could be good as. I also think the Master could come up. Also with the Mariposa, but I agree with what pretty much everyone's saying so far.
When I pull up the images of Kyle MacLachlan, he's an older gentleman. He's got graying hair. He definitely would fit the role of somebody who's in a leadership position, right? An experienced older guy. Do you think maybe he's playing Dick Richardson? Do you think maybe we're getting
to see it, to be honest?
Getting that? Like, that could be a thing, right? Yeah, it's really interesting to speculate about this stuff because we really don't know. We really don't know. And one of the other things we do know, or at least that has been rumored, there was some rumor on a post in a foreign website or social media post. I forget where it was, but one of the actors posted in a foreign page somewhere and either directly said or hinted at the fact that Vault 34 would be involved. Vault 34, there's lots of vaults. Vault 34 was located in the Vegas area, and it was from New Vegas, in southwest of the Nellis Air Force Base. This is the one that had like extremely large amounts of weaponry. Lots of guns and weapons and things. This was like the weapon vault where everybody was armed. And by the time we actually see it in New Vegas, it's overrun with ghouls. There's really not a whole lot of people who are there. We do find people out in the world who say things like, yeah, I came from the vault back when we used to be able to live in it. And you even find an individual who has a key to open one of the items in the vault, one of the things you can get like a special gun out of or something. If this is the case that this is a functioning vault, then it happens before the events of New Vegas, or just before the new events of New Vegas. So we might get a little bit of that going on there, but that also means that the boomers might be involved because some of them came from the vault, right? So we've got some speculation around that as well. What do you guys think about the idea of some of these factions and groups from New Vegas being more prominent in the show? Do you think it's likely? I mean, we know that Bethesda tends to shy away from New Vegas stuff. They are behind the show. Maverick, what do you think?
So, we actually didn't hear about that, but it's good to know. I was thinking once you were saying that it could be a New Vegas prequel.
Yeah.
That they're finally... because we all know Todd Howard's not going to let go of his baby, Fallout or Skyrim or anything without having some voice and say in it. We all know this for a fact.
Yeah, but I mean, I can imagine if they're gonna do a show, they want it to be successful, right? So they want the topic and the focus of the show to be something that resonates with the fan base. I think people would go nuts to find out.
Everyone loves New Vegas.
Yeah, everyone would be like, "Oh man, if this takes place between the events of Fallout 2 and New Vegas." Leo, Terminator, what do you think?
Well, what if it recounts the Courier before we knew the Courier in New Vegas? Think back on The Divide. Oh, what's the DLC called?
There's Roads. Lonesome Roads, I mean, not Broken Roads.
Lonesome Roads?
That's the one, Lonesome Road.
That one? Yeah.
Because think back. Ulysses recounted the whole story with the Courier going back and forth, building a community, and then basically nuking the ever-living fuck out of the place.
Right. So, do you think we're going to get the Courier as a main character? And if that's the case, who's the villain?
And possibly not as a main character. I'm thinking more of a offshoot.
Like this takes place around the things that were happening with the Courier, and the Courier is just somebody who just gets brought up in the background, and we all go, "What? We know who that is."
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, man, this conversation is going in directions that I didn't expect right off the bat. We have some things in chat. So Tactician in chat says Caesar's Legion. There's potentially the Legion going on. The first battle of Hoover Dam. You've got the Khans, some of these well-known raider groups. They could be villains. What do you guys think about that? You think we're going to see any Legion? Well,
I don't see us not seeing them, honestly, only because of if I'm still playing through New Vegas right now, but like they have a decent reach in the Midwest and like the West, don't they?
Yeah, by the time of New Vegas, they've taken over very large swaths of land.
Yeah, so like even if it's like before, like even if like we're before New Vegas, there's still going to be like something that you hear about, especially if they're like making their way towards Vegas. I forgot how they traveled and like conquered, but like it's going to be an issue, especially if you have a group like the Brotherhood of Steel where they have good, like open communications, I feel like throughout like bases. So it's, if we don't see them, we'll at least hear of them. And like, if we don't see it this season, maybe next season. That's the next threat. That's the Hoover Dam, or we end the first season with Hoover Dam, and it's. I guess it's like there's so much that you could do, but like I'm not gonna rule out any of the factions, honestly.
they're all going to be in it. But I get where you're going with this. Like, the idea that like the Legion is out there somewhere. Yeah. And there's rumor that they're getting closer. They're like subsuming these raider groups into their cause. They're fanatics. They've been crucifying people on crosses. They're acting like they're the Roman, empire. What the heck is going on? Where are they coming from? Yeah. And there's this like they keep getting closer. There's rumors of things. We might even see a burnt down village, but we don't really encounter them until season 2 or something like that. Yeah, I could totally imagine that being like this looming threat.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I hate to use it as an example, but like The Walking Dead, every season seems to have like a new threat, a new villain, a new like faction that they have to come up against. So It's just like there is enough content to like pull from that you could like honestly do that for like a good chunk of time and give the story longevity and keep, like new people and us, like people who play the game, engaged and like wanting more and coming back for it. So, and being that it's Amazon doing it and not like Netflix, I feel like they might, and like also having Bethesda just behind it, they might just do this justice. I'm hoping they do this justice.
Yeah, I hope so too. So we've got some really interesting potential, a lot of possibilities here. Tell you what, why don't we take a quick break? I'm going to thank you guys, my patrons, and everyone else who helps support the show. And we've got some reviews to read out, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to lay this out and we're going to kind of take some votes and kind of see what our consensus is about this. All right, don't go anywhere. It's time for that spring reset. I'm taking a look at everything in my closet and figuring out that, oh no, this absolutely needs to go. And it's about time I replace things so that my clothes aren't older than my 15-year-old. Now you might think that they lasted that long because they were well made, but no, they're in terrible condition. Unlike the new jeans I just got from Quince. Jeans have always been my personal go-to because you can kind of wear them for lots of different things, but maybe they're not your thing. Maybe you're looking for, 100% European linen with insanely soft flow knit activewear fabric. It's definitely getting warmer, and their flow knit activewear is moisture wicking, anti-odor, and soft enough that you'll actually want to wear it every day. So pick out what you want. You can't go wrong because they have prices 50 to 60% less than similar brands. And like I said before, they are high quality. I continue to wear their clothes all the time, and I know that these new jeans are going to last me a lot better than the other things in my wardrobe. And on top of it, they look great. They're so comfortable, and I spent just as much on the jeans that I am now cleaning out of my wardrobe. So if you're looking for something better, just all around better, go check out Quince. So go do it right now. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/falloutlore for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. Go to quince.com/falloutlore for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/falloutlore.
Hello there, old chap. Good to see another of General Atomic's finest, still eager to serve.
All right, here we are in the middle of the show. We've got some new patrons, or at least one new patron this last week. Gregory, simply goes by Gregory. Welcome to the Patreon. Thank you for joining us and for supporting the show. I very, very much appreciate that. That means that we're up to 53 current patrons, one SentryBot, one tier 5 patron right now. I'm the Creeper. Thank you for your support. We've got lots of Assaultrons, lots of other patrons of different tiers. Guys, I couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much for your support and for keeping the show going. You guys are amazing. If you're interested in checking out the Patreon, if you want to get ad-free episodes, if you want to join us on one of these chats in the future, come join us. You just have to sign up at the tier that gives you what you want. All of that at patreon.com/falloutlorecast. All right, let's read some reviews here. We've got two. This one's fairly long. I'll try and get through this pretty quickly. This one comes from I'm going to mess this name up. Get ready. Pamemon JDJDDJ. From Canada. That's a Canadian name. You never would have guessed. This one says, my favorite binge podcast, Fallout 55.5, an odd-numbered vault between 55 and 56, described in the Fallout Bible as a vault in which all entertainment was removed from the vault except for the works of pre-war content creator and famed philosopher robots. I now have my own vault, according to this review. Descendants of the original inhabitants can be found today in the wasteland, lost forever on a tangent. In all seriousness, this has been an amazing podcast to listen to. I found it a while ago as something to listen to at work, looking to scratch my Fallout itch, and have now finished it. I listen to this podcast during work, during the drive to and from work, while I play Fallout Shelter on my phone at work. Aren't you supposed to be working at work? All the way until when I get home to boot up Fallout 3, 4, 76. Then I keep listening. I can't get enough currently listening to the Vault minisodes from earlier on while I write this review. Binging the show has let me see how you have changed and how the podcast has evolved for you. As much as I love a show, I watch it for the characters. Outside of the well-researched episodes and intriguing dialogue, I have listened all this time and enjoyed listening to Robots through the professional quality talk sessions, as well as the first interview in the car with his daughter, where the background noise shook my car speakers. Amazing podcast, and thank you for being so involved with listeners. That is awesome. I'm not going to try to pronounce your name again. Thank you so much for that wonderful review. We also have one that comes in from the US from Kes Me If You Can. KES me if you can. Robot is the GOAT. I work for a baseball team in Ohio. Wonder which one. And listen to Robots play New Vegas while I mow the infield. Sometimes the ballpark feels like Diamond City, thanks to the Lorecast. Get your swatters here. Awesome. That is awesome. Thank you so much for everybody and your support and for just sharing this show with your friends. I really appreciate it. All right, let's move on with the rest of the show.
If you have any questions about Nuka World, I'd be delighted to answer them.
All right, guys, we're back. We've got some things to consider here. Does anybody have a villain that we haven't brought up yet that they think would be a big potential for the TV show? Anybody that we're missing that you're just like, oh, what if they did this? Maverick?
Roger Maxson. In some sick, twisted way, Roger Maxson.
So like the Brotherhood has gone too far kind of thing? Mm-hmm. I can see that. Yeah. Especially if it's from the perspective of like a Vault Dweller, or you bring in the NCR. Like things aren't always easy between the different factions, right?
Right.
So maybe like a limited villain kind of thing before some other bigger bad shows up.
I feel like it would be because of San Diego Comic-Con just finishing. I've been on a Marvel tangent so I'm going to do a Marvel metaphor here. So
sure.
Just hang with me for a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
So in the beginning of the series, in the first Avengers movie, we all know Loki was the big bad guy, but he actually wasn't the big bad guy. It was Thanos. Right. So what I'm thinking is probably Roger Maxson, maybe, or some Enclave operatives, or maybe the Master being that Loki type of character in Avengers 1, and then something big like President, like the Enclave president being Thanos.
Okay, I get where you're going. Like this idea of like a minor villain who ends up really not being so bad later on, has some sort of redemption arc, and then there's some sort of bigger bad, either behind the scenes or comes up, and then that character needs to fight against that bigger bad and band together with everyone else.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. All right, so here's what I'm going to pitch you guys. All right, so we have a cast of potential villains here, especially if we're thinking Fallout 1 and 2, West Coast, New Vegas. We've got the Master, we've got super mutants, we have Raider groups, the Khans, any of the other Raider groups, something going on with that. We haven't really talked about the NCR, but I don't think we see any of us really see them as a villain so much as just an organization that whoever in the show might or might not be working with. Then you have the Legion. Then you have other potential minor villains that have shown up in the series. But I think those are the big ones that we've talked about, right? And then the Enclave and anybody who's working with the Enclave. If you were to design the show over, let's say it's going to last 5 to 7 seasons, what order would you put them in? Like first season, this is the main villain, and then second season these guys become a problem, third season these guys become more of a problem. Like if you were to roll them out like one at a time rather than all at once, because that's a lot, right? That's a lot to deal with. Now that doesn't mean you're not going to see Raiders or Super Mutants if they're not on the list for being like the main villain, but my formula would be like, yeah, there's Raiders and Super Mutants and robots and maybe even the Enclave's around. All these people are around, but the main story villain might be the Master. And so you have a mutant problem. That's the main issue for the first season, right? Or the main story villain is somebody from the Enclave. So the Enclave's the first season. If you were to lay this out, how would you do it? Does anybody have a thought here? Lil Green, I see you thinking away there. It's like 1 minute.
Okay, so for 5 seasons.
Yeah, let's say you got 5 seasons. So you got Mutants, Raiders, Legion, Enclave, and then something else. Whatever else you want to throw in there.
I was going to say definitely start out with the Mutants because that gets you just introduced and it's like an easy thing. So second, I would honestly say the Legion.
Okay.
But like, and the thing also, do the Legion, then Boomers.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then I want to say the Great Khans as well.
And they would come after the Legion.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then finish off with the Enclave. But like the Enclave is not just like one season; they're there the entire run of the show.
I get where you're
but
going.
Like they're not they just pop up and they're instigating everything.
Yeah, yeah. But in the end, they're the finale, yes. Right?
So
interesting. Okay, yeah, I like this.
So
all right. Germinator. What's your thought on that? Would you rearrange it?
I wouldn't rearrange it. I would just put something right at the front, right at the start. Going back to what I was saying at the start with the whole show everything from the beginning. I want to see a Battle of Anchorage.
Oh, so the Chinese.
Yep. Chinese versus Power Armored Americans. Just think about that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, and Jax in chat says he would time jump or timeline jump. So we very well could have that, right? We could have these flashbacks in the first season to like, this is what was going on before the world ended.
Yeah. Or maybe not even just in the first season, have flashbacks throughout the entire series. If you think about it, because all the Fallout games are all in different timelines.
Right. Right.
So if you jump from, say, Fallout 3 to Fallout 4, which is what? Sorry,
phone's ringing. Fallout 3 to Fallout 4 is only about like 12 years, something like that. It's a very short. Like 1 to 2 is like a generation jump. 2 to 3 is like 100 years. 3 to 4 is like a decade. It changes. Everyone changes. 3 to New Vegas is like within like the next year or something like that. Yeah. But they do jump around. You're right.
So you can just have flashbacks between each one of the series.
Right. All right.
To bridge that little age gap, they could show the build of the Legion, which happens between Fallout 2 and 4, if I remember correctly.
Yes. So Fallout 2 in New Vegas, the Legion becomes an issue. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Nova, what do you think? Do you think that this format works? Would you rearrange it?
So I do kind of the format, but I'm always like I always like the idea of the strong central villain that's in the background pulling the strings. And so I would say it's either going to be probably would be the Enclave that would do that, possibly the Master, but like I would like a divide and conquer kind of strategy, like kind of mentality that's going on within the show, where like they're presented multiple different enemies at the same time, but it's not like some of them are more pressing than others. And so they said, okay, we're going to go focus on the Raiders now instead of worrying about the mutant problem. We'll let the mutants in the Legion fight. Will the mutants in the Legion fight it out for a little bit, and then we'll go and shore up our defenses over there. For right now, we're going to go over here to Red Rock Canyon and just annihilate the Khans or something like that.
Right. So,
but there's always like this rolling stone in the back where you can see like the Enclave is progressing, where like in the background you just randomly see vertibirds, like more and more vertibirds coming in, or you see like on mountaintops there's like a RAM satellite or like a RAM satellite dish appeared. Where it's like that wasn't there before. Where'd that come from? Where it's like an observation post or something like that.
Right. iBots start showing up, and you're like, what are these?
Yeah.
What is with this?
Yeah. It just comes it's more ominous where you like there to people who know Fallout that become more like it would be stick out like a sore thumb, but people who don't know Fallout, they were like, well, why did all these just random robots just appearing? Why, like that satellite wasn't there before? Where's the why is that guy acting so suspicious, and why is he pasty white in a desert?
Right. So if you were to lay it out though, like let's say all of these things are out there, stuff is building on the background, but if like for a finale, something has to come to a head where the protagonist or the group that's the show's about or whatever has to like take on a specific villain or group. What order would you put that in? You'd leave like the Enclave till the end. They'd be kind of the big things in the background.
The order I would put this in is for the most pressing would probably be just the Raiders up front, and possibly even mutants as well, where like it's you get two whammies at their beginning where sorry my dogs are barking, like you kind of get just two opponents at the very beginning. Like I said, it's the divide and conquer mentality where the people of like the Vault, or if the main character does escape and goes to a settlement, then the people of the settlement have to decide, okay, the Raiders are the more pressing issue right now.
Right. So which do they take first? If you put them, so you have to, let's say they just pick on, they have to deal with one first. They deal with Raiders first? Or
I would say the Raiders first, specifically because the Raiders tend to be more ambitious, and they would be specifically attacking supply convoys, while the ghoul or the mutants themselves would be smarter, because we're assuming they'd be smarter probably if it's on the West Coast under the master, and so they probably wouldn't. They would probably be attacking smaller settlements first.
Well, it depends on the timeline, right? Like if this is closer to Fallout 1, then yes. If it's closer to New Vegas, then no. So that's interesting. Yeah. I also think that your point makes a lot of sense, because from a listener or watcher standpoint, you're seeing the Raiders, which are an easy to understand villain. Oh, they're just humans who do lots of bad stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have the mutants. Like if you have the mutants for a lot longer within it, like even two seasons of the mutants as being presented as a threat, then you can explore those a lot more, because like you said, Raiders, you just like, okay, they're just people who are like who are bad people for supplies. Yeah, bad people who are desperate for supplies. I can understand what they are.
I've seen Mad Max. I know what this is.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. But then you see this giant 600-pound pure muscle, like lime green human walk on the dash. You're like, what the fuck is that?
Right. And then so we have more time to get to understand who that threat is and learn more of them as a viewer. Whereas there's not a whole lot to learn about Raiders. They're Raiders.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that the Enclave as a faction itself would be revealed at the very end of the first season. And I would assume that they would, I would like to see them kind of try and present themselves as, oh, we're here to help. Like, they're
the saviors of the wasteland.
Yeah, they're the saviors of the wasteland. Yeah. Just don't be alarmed. Follow what we do. But then, as the next season progresses, they become more ominous, more nefarious, and you can see that they're just trying to get control of all of just harness all the power for themselves and get rid of all the undesirables as they see it of the wastelanders. So people start disappearing from around the village who they deem useful for like whatever work, or maybe the entire next village over is completely kidnapped and sent off to Mariposa or something like that. And so like the Enclave itself is built up a lot more within the second season. In the first season, it's kind of just revealed as a vertibird lands in the outskirts of town. Yeah. And guys in power armor step out, and so does a colonel. This is, hello, I'm Colonel. I don't know. I guess it's Autumn Senior or something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm part of the Enclave. I'm here to help. And then over the next season, it's
for America. Yeah,
exactly. But then people who actually understand Fallout would see, oh, they're the bad guys, but people who don't is like, oh, they're the good guys. It's the remnants of the government. Cool.
Coming to save everybody. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah.
So if to go back to the initial question, there's 5 seasons. We've got Raiders, Super Mutants, the Enclave stewing around in there. Do they come to a head in the 5th season?
Yeah, probably the 4th or 5th season they comes to a head.
Okay, well, what about the in between ones? What about 3 and 4?
And so 3 and 4 would probably be 3 would probably be the Legion because the mutant one would come to a conclusion in the 2nd season. Mm-hmm. Legion would be the entire 3rd season where it's a little bit more complex than a Raider is, but they're still humans and people will be able to connect with them and say, oh, okay, I understand they're LARPers in a post-apocalyptic world. Awesome.
Right. It's absolutely terrible, horrifying LARPers.
Yeah.
That crucify people. Yeah. Awesome.
Exactly.
Awesome.
In the 4th season would probably be, like I would see it as like mopping up the rest of the Legion resistance, possibly dealing with,
a 2-season build up for the Enclave.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm getting to. It's like mop the rest of the Legion, where like there's a couple stragglers here and there. Like the main force was defeated, but they still or the main attacking force was defeated, but they still have outposts or still an entire army out in Arizona or wherever it is, like the next state over. Mm-hmm. We need to prepare for that. But then as we prepare for that, though, then like they start to realize that the Enclave become more and more nefarious, and then the people around the main character, around the protagonist, and the protagonists themselves become a lot more suspicious of the Enclave. And then I would say the 5th season would be entirely a focus on the Enclave. And then the Legion's still in the back of everyone's mind. The remembrance of the Legion's still in the back of everyone's mind, though, but the Enclave becomes the big bad. Right.
And they're technologically advanced, and they have an ideology thing, and part of the people that you know from the town that you live in think that they're the good guys. Yeah, and then that becomes way more complex. I could totally see all of that. Maverick? And I would just... Oh, go ahead, Nova.
I was going to say I would just say at the very beginning of the 5th season, would just that for Mara poses and introduced, like, oh, so that's where everyone went. Oh, that's not good.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Maverick, what do you think? Do you think that this format works? Does it match what you were thinking?
So, in a way, yes.
Would you make any changes? Would you rearrange anything? Would you do like...
No? If we're going West Coast, I would think we cannot not include House.
Okay, so there's a question. Like, does House show up as a potential villain? Another one of those question mark people that some people think he's good and some people don't. So you got that right. There's potential there. The other ones that I would throw out while we're kind of getting close to the end of the episode are Synths and the Institute.
No, I wouldn't include the Institute, at least not here.
So it may or may not be on the West Coast. We don't know for sure 100%. It seems like it might be. But if it isn't, the Institute would be a potential enemy. Or if it's after all the events of Fallout 4, you could have Synths showing up in other places.
Yeah.
That could be a thing.
You are right. It could be like that.
Right.
Or we see Synths, and it could be...
I don't know that it's as likely.
The Enclave goes in. I don't believe it would be likely either, since they're all on the West Coast.
Right.
But we don't know that either.
Right.
What I would do for probably season 1, because everyone's just starting out, I'd probably just do like the Raiders or like the Master or something. Mm-hmm. Then for season 2, everyone's in their groove watching it or whatever. I would probably go with what would it be? Probably the Legion.
Okay.
Then season 3, I would probably do the NCR.
Like somebody nefarious gets control of the NCR, and they turn from being like a peacekeeping group to something more. So it's really like the person behind the scenes who's the villain, not necessarily NCR as a whole.
No, because we know that in the beginning, the Brotherhood of Steel and the NCR fought a lot. Right.
They didn't get along.
So they didn't get along at all. That's what I mean by that. I mean, like, I gotcha. Like the main character may side with either one, like they do, like maybe they do in the game. Then I was at season 4, right?
Yeah, so that's up to season 3. So season 4,
Season 4, I would probably do the start. I would probably do like an officer of the Enclave. I wouldn't do the big bad Enclave. I'd probably do like a, like in the Mandalorian, how they just did in the first season. They didn't do Moff Gideon.
Right. They built up to it. Yeah.
Yeah, they built up to Moff Gideon. That's what I believe that they could probably do.
Mm-hmm. So like a 2-season build up for the Enclave.
Yeah, and then the 5th season, probably President Eden. Or whoever's the president at that time. I'm not good on my lore, even though I say I'm a self-proclaimed.
Well, whoever happens to be the leader in whatever time frame. We don't know the time frame, right? It could be any time frame. Okay, that makes sense. Now, here's one other. Did you have something else, Maverick?
Yeah, and then the final battle would be sinking of the Enclave.
The oil
rig.
Okay, so we'd be going back to the events of like 1 and 2. So this would be like earlier in the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So here's kind of a final question for everybody. We've talked about all the other Fallout games except for 76. And we have villains in 76. And it doesn't seem like this is set in Appalachia, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to have things from Appalachia affecting the world and working their way into the story somehow, right? Do you think there's any potential that we're going to get some sort of plague, like the Scorched Plague, or a character like Modus? Jax posted some of these questions in chat. Or what do you think about cryptids showing up? Do you think we'll get an episode with like a cryptid? Everybody's like, probably not. Getting a lot of these. Germinator's shaking his head. Germinator says no. Lil Green?
I'm not against the cryptids, just because if we had the time, I was going to ask, do you think they would go with a wacky wild wasteland?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, right? Like,
because yes,
aliens?
There is a lot of serious undertones to Fallout, but it's also a funny game. It really is.
I think there will be moments of humor. I think there will.
So like one of those things of like, maybe it's not a cryptid, but will we see a mysterious stranger?
Right. Is there just one scene where there's a shootout, and all of a sudden, around the corner of the screen, we see a guy with like a coat and a hat.
Yeah,
take a guy out.
You hear the music hit, and then like someone just pops off a 6-shooter in a raincoat and disappears, and it's just like
the main character's like, "Where'd that guy come from? He saved my life."
So I'm not saying no to cryptids, but like for the area, there really isn't any that come to mind. I mean,
they weren't part of the games, though. Those are other games.
So, but I'm not voting it out because you have the wacky wild wasteland. So the Scorched, I feel like, is more of a centralized issue for Appalachia. Mm-hmm. So I don't see it being a thing like out west. But like, I'm not gonna say no. I don't want to see it. I do want to see something new. I want to see something different that I don't get from the game that brings me to this show,
or something really cool from the game. That you go, I didn't expect that to be in the show. I mean, that could kind of scratch the same kind of itch, like a behemoth. Like, what if? What if they're like, oh, we got to protect the dam, and then all of a sudden, out from underneath the water marches a gigantic super mutant,
a Mirelurk Queen,
or a Mirelurk Queen. Yeah, I mean, like the games have so many cool, weird things. You know, like a scene with a centaur, and you're just like, "Oh my god, what is that?" Oh my
god, if they had centaurs in the show, that would be amazing.
Cazadors, because
like they look great in the games, but just like get some good CGI behind that.
Right. I mean, that could play up into the Master and like getting like first we run into super mutants, but then as they like try to root him out, they run across all these other weird mutations and things, and it just gets more disturbing until the season ends.
Yeah,
could be a thing. What do the rest of you guys think? Anyone else want to chime in on this? Germinator?
Yeah, I don't really see too much from 76 appearing.
Yeah,
but I did want to point out that we do have a very limited cast list for the TV show already.
That's true. That's true. I mean, there's only
we
so
haven't
many.
touched on that yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, we know a few of the cast members. Do you think that any of those cast member reveals are going to affect the potential for a villain? I mean, we did talk about Kyle MacLachlan being, say, a potential leader of some sort of group like the Enclave.
I could see him being Elder Maxon.
You think he's Maxon? Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's an older guy. Like, he's got a very kind of, serious kind of regal face, like, I get where you're going.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Nova, what do you think? What do you think about some of this wackier, crazier stuff, or more of a stretch towards 76?
Possibly the Skinwalker for talking about cryptids. Just that randomly. Like, is it the Skinwalker? Is that I'm thinking? Is that the cryptid?
I mean, that is a cryptid, I think.
Yeah. That's the right name. I don't know. Like, if we're talking about cryptids, that could be one that appears because it's geographically within the South American Southwest. And so if they do want to include cryptid, I'd just say that'd be the most popular one that's in that area. Other than that, if there's going to be something out, like if there's going to be just some random influential thing that just randomly just gets put in, I would say the blue flu possibly, because we've seen very little of that in Fallout games. Okay. That's about all I can think of, really.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else have any other thoughts on any of this? I think we've covered it pretty well. I think the consensus is that if it's in the West, if it's a West Coast thing, we definitely want some Enclave, some super mutants, some raiders, maybe some of the other little kind of things that feature in some of the games. Any other last minute thoughts on this?
I had a last minute thought.
Maverick?
So, everyone's wanting. There have been rumors, not know if they're confirmed or not. Another cast member, Walter Goggins, is supposed to be a ghoul.
Yes. Yeah. I think he probably plays more of like one of the like supporting characters, probably not a villain. Yeah. That would be my guess.
I agree. I'm just saying that we don't know much about any of the other characters or like the actors, what they're be playing, but we all know Walter Goggins is going to play a ghoul.
Yep.
Because and also with villains, also within, I would like to think that what's the group name? I would like to, or not so much villains, but I'd also like to see like what happened in Mariposa with the forming of the Brotherhood. With
flashbacks to that, like the events of
like
Maxon standing up against the scientists and the terrible things they were doing, trying to create super soldiers, all of that.
I'd also like. I agree with who, I forget who said it earlier in the show about wanting to see the Battle of Anchorage. I would love to see that, but
we lost you. You're disappearing.
Though Amazon has gone close to that line before with another show called The Man in the High Castle, which people that don't know, it's an alternate reality show where we lost World War II.
Yeah, my wife watched it. I only saw little bits of it.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
But anyway, I could see them going that next step also.
Okay.
But I would like to see the Master in season 1.
Yeah, it'd be really messed up looking.
Everyone's going.
It'd be really messed up looking. They'd have to CGI that, unless they don't, and then it's like practical effects for the Master. That'd be really weird. Might be crazy. Well, guys,
it'd be like Pizza the Hut from Spaceballs.
Yeah, right. Terminator.
I just thought of the perfect bloke to cast as a super mutant.
Yeah, who?
Shaq.
Say that again. Shaq? Did you say Shaq? Shaq. I mean, he's a big guy, right? I mean, he's a big guy. Yeah.
He's gonna dunk all over all the wastelanders.
With a big club, bonk.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big dude. Like, that's true. There's a lot of big guys out there. You can get some, like, if you've watched any of the like strongest man competitions, like those guys, all of those guys could be super mutants. They're just like Huge, made out of muscle. Well, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for joining me and speculating about the TV show and the villains. Why don't we take a second and we'll just go back through everybody. If there's something that you're working on, you want to share, feel free to share it. Otherwise, let people know how to reach out to you. Germinator, we're just going to start with you. Thanks for being here again.
Not a problem at all. At the moment, I've got my next 3 weeks off. Finally.
Nice. Congratulations.
So I'm going to finish turning my truck into a full-on camper with a new box that I bought for the back of it and basically turned it into a mobile gaming paradise for myself.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, have fun with that. That sounds awesome.
Cheers.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. A Little Green.
Hello. I have not much going on. I'm just busy neck deep in wedding season. Also, I am starting 2 new jobs. So
wow.
Yes. But no, I'm just very, very busy as always. But no, I mean, if anybody needs to reach out to me, you can hit me up on the Discord or reach out to me on Instagram at littlegreen_photography.
Awesome. Well, thanks for making time for joining us again.
Oh, yes.
Nova, I know you got stuff going on, right?
Yeah, just a little bit. Currently working on a script for a video about why the wasteland is still so highly radioactive after 200 years. It's a lot of research. I have like 5 different essays currently open up that I'm reading through. It's not fun.
Cool.
Besides that, just a lot of work going on. A couple new service dogs. People ask me to train our therapy dogs. People ask me to train, so that's exciting. I'm on the Discord. If you guys want to talk to me, I usually get back within a couple of minutes. Or if you want to look at my Twitter, which is dead for like the last 2 months, something like that, it's Supernova Gaming. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Thanks for joining us again.
It is no problem at all.
Maverick, I know you got stuff too.
Oh, yes, I got stuff. I have, along with 4 other people, have a show called The Fallout Roundtable. We are on Twitter at FalloutRTB. We released a bonus episode, bonus content.
Wow.
Jaxus interviewed the owner of the Pioneer Saloon in Good Springs, Nevada, which, if all of us Fallout lovers know, that...
Uh-oh. We lost you. You're gone. They got him.
And there was a big Fallout event that was put up there.
There you are.
So...
Yeah, and Jackson's got to interview him and talk to some people on there. That's what you're saying?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm moving now. So
it's okay. Yeah, I know your connection's always a little bit tricky. Well, cool. Yeah, go check out the Fallout Roundtable. It's available out there on all the different podcatchers. They talk about topics like this, like every episode, right?
Yeah, pretty much. We have multiple guests lined up in the next couple weeks, so stay tuned.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you again for joining me. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate your support and always have fun chatting with you about these topics every month. And if you are interested in any of the other shows on the Robots Radio Network, that's robotsradio.net. All of my other shows are there as well. The Lord of the Rings Lorecast is absolutely taking off. Lots of people are finding it because of the new Amazon series coming out soon. And if you're into Elder Scrolls, there's the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. There's a variety of different shows, my shows, and the other shows from the other creators on the network. So go check that out if you're looking for more shows to listen to. I will not be back next week because I have a very special guest host coming in to do a very special episode because I will be on a cruise ship. I'll be on a boat. I'll be on a big boat, real big boat, taking a cruise before the end of the summer with my family in order to get at least a little bit of vacation time in. And so I'll be gone next week, but I hope you guys enjoy the episode that shows up. And who knows, maybe we'll do more of those in the future or have that person back to join us again. It'll be fun. I'll leave it as a surprise for now, but stay tuned for that. I'm sure you guys will love it. And until next time, stay safe out there. I'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody. To plug into everything else we're doing, check out robotsradio.net. Reach out to me on Twitter at robots_radio. Check out the Robots Radio Rocket Club, where you can join me and a bunch of our other creators creating your podcast, starting a new podcast, or helping your current podcast grow. There's more information about that on robotsradio.net as well. And you can always talk with us and the entire community, over 2,000 people on the Robots Radio Discord. Come join us. We'd love to chat with you. See you guys next time.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.